99% of service-based business owners are leaving hundreds of thousands on the table because they ignore this one thing that seems completely useless. It's not your pricing and it's not your service quality. And it's not even your marketing budget. It's called strategic storytelling. And here's the crazy part. Most business owners think storytelling is just for Disney movies and bedtime stories. But the reality is every single dollar you've ever made came from someone who heard or read words that made them want to buy from you. Just think about it. The last client who paid you $5, $10, or even $50,000, they didn't just randomly decide to work with you. They consumed some form of story that positioned you as the guy who could solve their problem. But here's what nobody tells you about business storytelling. It's not about telling your story. The biggest mistake I see service providers make is they think storytelling means talking about how their grandfather started the company 50 years ago, or how they overcame some personal struggle. That's not storytelling. That's just talking about yourself. Real business storytelling is about inviting your customer into their own story where they're the hero and you are the guide who helps them win. When you position yourself as a hero, you're basically saying, I'm weak, I need help, I don't know what I'm doing. Because that's what heroes are in the story. They're confused and need guidance. But when you position yourself as the guide, like Yoda helping Luke Skywalker, you become the strongest, most capable character in the story. And there's a specific framework that's been tested for over 2,500 years that can turn any boring service description into a money-making story machine. This framework comes from ancient storytelling structures, and in the last 120 years, it's been tested at the box office every single weekend. We already know exactly what makes people pay attention, what makes them take action, and what makes them pull out their credit card. The framework has 7 parts, and once you understand it, you'll never struggle to explain what you do or why somebody should hire you. You'll have a system that works whether you're writing your website, creating social media posts, or talking to prospects on sales calls. But before I show you the framework, you need to understand why most service businesses are basically invisible to their ideal client. Here's the problem. Your potential clients' brains are doing 2 things when they encounter your marketing. First, they're trying to figure out if what you're offering will help them survive and thrive. Second, they're trying to conserve mental energy because processing information burns calories. This means if you're confusing, if you're vague, if you make them work to understand how you help them, they're gonna reject you instantly. Their brain will literally say, this is too much work, and move on to your competitor. Most service providers say things like, we provide innovative solutions for forward-thinking businesses, or trust is the commodity we exchange. These sound sophisticated, but they mean absolutely nothing to a potential client. Instead, you need to use what I call survival positioning. And there's a specific way to do this that most people get completely wrong. Survival positioning means you position your service as something that helps your client make money, save money, reduce stress, save time, or increase their status. If you're not clearly connecting your service to one of these survival outcomes, people are going to ignore you. Let me give you an example. Instead of saying, I'm a business consultant who helps companies optimize their operations, you'd say, I help manufacturing companies reduce their operating costs by 30% in 90 days without laying off employees. Do you see the difference? The second version immediately tells somebody exactly how you help them survive and thrive. It's specific, it's measurable, and it connects to their survival instincts. But survival positioning is just the first piece. The real magic happens when you use that complete story framework that makes most people feel like they have to work with you. And this is where the 7-part framework comes in. I call it the client story system, and it works like this. First, you identify what your client wants, not what you think they should want, what they actually want. If you're a marketing consultant, they don't want brand awareness. They want more customers. Second, you define the problem that's preventing them from getting what they want. This is crucial because people only buy solutions to their problems. Third, you position yourself as the guy who can help them solve that problem. You do this with empathy. I understand how frustrating it is and authority. I've helped 50+ companies solve this exact problem. Fourth, you give them a simple plan. People want baby steps, not complicated process. Fifth, you call them to action with specific language that removes doubt. Sixth, you paint a picture of success, what their life looks like after working with you. Seven, you show them the cost of inaction. What happens if they do not solve this problem? Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but I'm not a writer. How do I actually implement this without spending months crafting the perfect story? Here's the secret that most copywriters don't want you to know. You don't need to be a great writer to use great storytelling. You just need the right templates and frameworks. I'm going to give you 3 specific templates you can use immediately. Template number 1, the problem solution bridge. You know how target audience struggle with a specific problem? Well, what I do is your solution, so that specific outcome. Template number 2, the authority opener. After helping hundreds of businesses of target clients achieve a specific result, I've discovered that any insight about their industry or problem. Template number 3, the stakes clarifier. Here's what most target audience don't realize. If you don't solve problem in the next 3 weeks, then negative consequence. But when you do solve it, positive outcome. But these templates are just the beginning. There's one more element that separates the service providers who make 6 figures from those who make 7 figures. It's called social proof storytelling. And it's the difference between someone thinking this sounds good and I need this right now. Instead of just saying I help businesses grow, you tell a specific story. Last month, I worked with Sarah, who owns a local accounting firm. She was working 70 hours a week and still couldn't break 50K months. After implementing my client acquisition system, she hit her first 100K month while working 40 hours per week. That story does three things. It shows you understand their pain, proves you can deliver results, and helps them visualize their own success. The key is to collect these stories from every client interaction. When a client gets a result, ask them specific questions. What was your situation before? What changed after working with me? How do you feel now? And here's the final piece that most service providers completely miss. The story doesn't end when they hire you. The most successful service providers use storytelling throughout the entire client journey. They tell stories during onboarding to set expectations, during delivery to maintain engagement, and after completion to generate referrals. Think about it. When your client gets amazing results, that becomes a story you can tell to attract more clients. When you solve an unexpected problem, that becomes a story about your expertise. When you go above and beyond, that becomes a story about your service quality. Every interaction is a potential story, and every story is a potential marketing asset. Here's your action plan. First, write out your 7-part story framework using the template I gave you. Second, collect 3 client success stories using the questions I mentioned. Third, create 1 piece of content this week that uses storytelling instead of just listing features and benefits. But storytelling is just one piece of building $1 million service business. The real magic happens when you combine great storytelling with the right systems, processes, and marketing strategies. That's exactly why I created a complete training that shows you how to build a predictable client acquisition system that generates consistent 10, 20, 30K months. In this training, I break down who've gone from struggling to find their next client to having waiting lists of people that want to work with them. Check out this video where I show you the pillars of a 6-figure service business and how you can implement them in the next 90 days, even if you're starting from scratch.